Good night, teacher. We're going to present API 3 about the national curriculum guidelines. Next, please. Introduction. English is unquestionable the word lingua franca the present. Not only much as work, technological, scientific, academic, and social information writing in English, but also learning and speaking more than foreign language. It is essential in order to interact and communicate in today's globalized world. Furthermore, Minister of Education recognized that the main objective of the present English curriculum design is to help the students develop their communicative language skills through the consideration of the following principles. Language is a system for the expression and the conveyance of meaning. The primary function of the language is the interaction and communication. The structure of language reflects its functional and communicative structure use. And in addition, in order to face such challenge, the Ecuadorian Ministry of Education acknowledged the following three things: issues. The importance of the English language, the need of adding the English curriculum to standards like the Common European Framework of Reference, that the communicative approach is currently the most recognized accepted norm in the field of language teaching and learning worldwide. Next, please. Approach characteristics. The communicative functional approach proposed for the English curriculum for 8th, 9th, and 10th year of education general básica and first, second, and third year of bachillerato is characterized by two main features. The first is focus on real-world context. This means that is because the students will ultimately have to use the language productively through speaking and writing, and receptively through listening and reading outside the classroom. Task activities must equip students with the necessary skills for communication in everyday context. The second is the relationship of language forms, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation are function. Language techniques are designed to engage the learner in the authentic functional use of language for meaningful purposes, supported by a knowledge and language structures. The next, please. What is CFR? It is a planning tool that offers guidance for teachers, examiners, textbook writings, teacher trainers, and educational administrators. It also plays a paramount role in language and education policy worldwide because it comprehensively describes what language learners should be able to do at different stages of learning process and what knowledge and skills they need to develop to communicate effectively in the target language. In addition, the CFR basically proposes a scale of 6 language proficiency levels that go from A1 for those who are at the beginning stage to C2 for those who can use language at high levels of this course. Next, please. CIFR, Common Reference Levels. The 6 levels proposed by the CIFR have been described as follows: A1 to A2, basic uses for the language; B1 to B2, independent users of the language; C1 to C2, proficient users of the language. Next, please. CEFR Common Reference Levels. It establishes cutoff points between levels flexibly, allowing scaling the levels and their descriptors to suit local needs, yet still relating them back to a common system. The 3 aforementioned language proficiency levels will be applied in the public educational system gradually through the ranking approach as such on the figure. In the figure, we can see the fifth basic user is the A1 that is subdivided into A1 to and the A1.2. The 2 is the A2.1 and the A2.2. At independent user, the B1 that is subdivided into B1.1 and B1.2. Next, please. Curriculum overall objectives. The objectives are: the first is ensure high school graduates reach a minimum B1 language proficiency level according to CEFR. The second is to build of learners communicative language competence in linguistics, sociolinguistics, and pragmatic components throughout the development of the four language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Next, please. Curriculum exit profile level 11B1. Regarding the linguistic component of communicative competence, high school graduates at B1 level will be able to have a sufficient range of language to describe unpredictable situations, have enough language to get by sufficiency vocabulary to express themselves with some hesitation and circumlocution. High school graduates at B1 level will be able to perform and respond to a wide range of language functions using the most common exponent in an register. Be aware of noticeable polyness conventions and act appropriately. Be aware of hand and lookout for things that the most significant difference between the custom usage, attitudes, values, and beliefs. And again, the high school graduates at B1 level will be able to use the following skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Thanks.
Exit profile level A1. By the end of the 9th-year EGB, students will be reach the communicative competence for A1 proficiency level basic user and will be able to understand and use a familiar everyday expression and every basic phrase aimed of the satisfaction of needs of concrete type, introduce themselves and others, ask and answer questions about personal details, understand, identify, and procedure very simple information, transcription, and exploratory text, and be aware of the society culture of the community of communities in which English is spoken. Next, please. Specific objectives per school year 8 and 9 EGB. For pedagogical purpose, for the first two personal and educational are addressed in level A1.1 because they constitute of the learners immediately surrounding. And regarding reading and writing, on the other hand, not only are the specific objectives established for students to face different text types, they might incur when they read English Brown 2007. For pedagogical purpose, it's important because they constitute the learners immediately. On the other hand, the theory of the public is addressing level A1.2 as it constitutes the learning extent surrounding which can award moreover objective and assessment indicators for speaking production and speaking interaction has been set. Next, please. Essential assessment indicators per scholar years. Here we have a chart about language skills. A1.1, your EGB, listening, identify the relation between the sounds and the spelling of English words within reading lexical range. Reading, recognize cognated words and loan words from their EL1. Speaking, read aloud a short set of writing instructions which are clear and simple, and writing and spelling personal and educational details, example on name, numbers, and dates, nationality, address, age, date of birthday, skill. A1.2, 9-year EGB, identify and propose the vowel and consonant contrast of the English language of their speech. Use visual aids of knowledge of familiar words to guess meanings of unknowledge terms. Read aloud written text which is clearly written in simple language and copy familiar words and short phrases, example, simple things, instruction names of everyday objects, shops, and set the phrases used regularly. Next, please. Specific objectives per school, scholar, year 10 year EGB, and first year of bachelorate. To show articulation and progression, the specific objectives for the listening and speaking have been formulated by taking into consideration the four main domains of interest for the target group: personal, education, public, and vocational. Regarding reading and writing, the specific objectives have been established for students to face different text types they may encourage when they read English. Brown 2007. Furthermore, learners will be already be familiar with some samples of three specific types: informational, transcription, and expository. Nonetheless, not only more complex samples be present with these genres, but students will be also be exposed to two new types: procedure and narrative. Next, please. Essential assessment indicators per school year. Language skills, listening, a 2.1 standard EGB. Interior speech, recognize some of the principal meaningful contrasts in contrast carried by stress, placement, and information in an intonation. Reading, understand, short description, and media articles will express in simple language. Speaking, follow change of the topic in formal discussion with the corresponding domains. And writing, write longer description about their family, living conditions, and educational background. 2.2, first year of bachillerato, interior of speech and in the speech of others, understand the principal meaningful contrast in understand career by stress placement and intonation, understand simple instruction from resemblance of keeping a record in everyday life, speaking, follow change of topic in formal discussion with the corresponding domain, and writing, write about everyday aspects of the environment. Example, people, places, or a job are still experiences and linked senses. Next, please. Exit profile level 1, a level B1. By the end of the third year of bachelorate, students will have reached the communicative competence for B1 proficiency level independent user, and they will be able to understand the main points of clearance and methods regularly encouraged in work, school, leisure. Deal with most situation likely to as well traveling in a area where the language is spoken, and produce simple context text on topics which are familiar or of personal interest, and describe experience and never dreams, hopes, ambitions. Next, please. A specific objective per school year, so second and third bachelorate. To show articulation and progression, it's a specific objective for the listening and speaking have been formulated by taking into consideration for main domains of interest for the target group. Example, personal, education, public, and vocational. The reason to keep the division is because not only has the level of complexity of the language used these levels being considered, but the relevance and the future until the domains have also been taken into account. Even though the domains offer overlap in real life, and students have already been able to use the language in all four in previous years. In first two, example, personal and educational, we continue to be addressed in level B1.1, and the third and fourth, public and vocational in level B1.2. Next, please. Thank you.
Okay, Now we have the microcurricula for planning by skill and performance criteria. For the first part, we have the informative data that we can see that we have in the informative data the teacher's name, the area, sublevel, the weeks that it is going to develop the curriculum. Then we have the subject, the semester, modality, grade term, and the curriculum theories. The other types, it could be the course, the starting week, the final week, the class, the unit number, the unit title, and the period. Okay, in the first part, we have the essential contents like in here we can see the skills and performance criteria, the indicators or the performance criteria, and we have the methodological strategies like teacher proposal, recommendations to parents or tutor at home. We have in the first week 4, we have the greetings and introducing myself and yourself. That is a good chance to meet the students. Like we have the EFL 2.1.1, the exchange based on introduction and limited personal information in class, using simple present tense in order to get to know their peers. In the indicators for the personal area, we have for the week 4, we have the EFL 2.3.1. We have the learners can use basic personal information and expression of potentials in short dialogues and conventions. For the teacher proposal, we have we need to need we need the topic. It could be the greeting and farewells, like relate the date with the correct greetings and the role play greeting with your partners. For the recommendations to parent or tutor at home, we have to encourage children to watch videos and complete activities sent on time and consult the teacher in class subtoms. We have in this the unit plan. We have for the skills and performance criteria to be developed. We have oral communication. We have reading, writing, and language through the arts. For the next part, we have the week 5.6. We have describe objects like produce simple many solids ultrans using very short phrases and some individual words, possibility with slow and uh, exit and delivery. We have in the EFL 2.11 for one, we have the learners can understand familiar words, phrases, and short simple sentence and can success complete the simple accompanying task. We need to, for this part, we have the topic how much and what color are the subject. We have to identify numbers and colors into some objects. We have to relate the objectives with the color and the numbers. We have support for children's learning by controlling tasks confinement and keep in touch with the teachers via WhatsApp for tasking computation and problem solving. For the week 7, we have to improve the alphabet. In the EFL 2.3.1, we have to demonstrate basic reading comprehension skills by identify the meaning of individual words, phrases, and sentences, including simple writing instruction. Also, we have the EFL 2.4.3. We have to write simple words, phrases, and sentences with correct use of standard greeting mechanics. In the next part, we have the EFL 2.0, with 2.11.1. The learners can be understand familiar words, phrases, and short simple sentence and can successfully complete the simple and complete tasks. We have also that the learners can write words, phrases, and short simple sentences using the correct conversations. For this week, we have the topic the vocabulary that we have to identify names of objects, which names start with the letter of alphabet, and we have also to describe colors, numbers, and names. For the week 8, we have the personal pronouns. In the EFL 2.3.1, we have to demonstrate basic reading comprehension skill by identifying the meaning of the individual words, phrases, and sentences including simple writing instruction. In this part, we are going to see the evaluation criteria. We have to communication and culture awareness. We have also the oral communication, reading, writing, and language through the arts. We have learners can write words, phrases, and short simple sentences using the current conversation. The topic for this week is personal pronoun, identify number of people, animal, or things. With this distinguishing between similar, plural, male, female. Also, we have to infinite personal pronouns in English, field ones with the appropriate pronoun. For the week 9, we have my personal presentation. Here we are going to see some of the performance indicators like communication and cultural awareness or communication. Also, we have reading, writing, language through the arts. We have the EFL 2.3.1 that we have to demonstrate basic reading comprehension skills by identify the meaning of individual words, phrases, and sentences, including simple sentence instructions. For the next part, we have the EFL 2.10.1, we have the learners can understand familiar words, phrases, and short simple sentences, and can success complete the simple accompanying tasks. The topic for this week is personal presentation that related to some personal data with the correct phrases for presentation. The students have to associate numbers with age, and also they have to associate graded and farewells at the beginning and the end of the presentation. Then they have the week 10, they have two action verbs like in the EFL 2.3.1, they have to demonstrate basic reading comprehension skills by identify the meaning of individual word, phrases, and sentences, including now the simple writing instructions. They have the learners can understand familiar words, phrases, and short simple sentence and can success complete the simple accompanying task. For this week, the topic is personal presentation that they need to identify and recognize what a verb is, relate pictures with the words, find the words of photos. In this week, they have some activities to help the students learn to understand all topics. It could be like by Zoom, WhatsApp, or Facebook. The first one is warm-up of activity students will identify previous topic, reinforce previous knowledge, presenting new topics with some samples. They have watching some short explicative videos about the topics for students who cannot access to the linear classes. Um, Online classes with the students who can get access to writing short phrases with a description, recording some description about the object, introducing themselves to your teachers. They have to fill in blanks with the personal pronouns and watching fitness videos in the order to solve questions and dumps. In this part, they are evaluation activities, techniques, and instrument. One of the part they have to review the lesson one up, lesson two one up, and the lesson three one up. They have to communication and cultural awareness like activity, technique, instrument. They have also the oral communication activity, technique, instrument, reading activity, technique, instrument. And for the final part, we have the students with special education needs, education learning, and need for academic reforms. In this part, they have essential contents, skill to performance criteria, indicators for the performance criteria. And the final part is methodological strategy like teacher proposal and recommendations to parents or a tutor at home. Thank you.